Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Oh my God, look at me. I messed up our little intro. Well, how's everyone doing this fine morning in SP? In the SP Nation. I hope you're all having a fantastic Wednesday morning or afternoon or evening or wherever the heck you are. Right. Trying to figure out how to pull up our little name tags here. Ba-boom.
Oh,
Fun.
Now we're rocking. We're rocking. I think it's 5 o'clock at maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the UK. So to all the UK peeps, this will be a perfect time to catch it on your way home.
Yeah. If you're not subscribed to Sterling yet, jump over and find him on YouTube at Sterling Tompkins right there. Can't miss him. Well, we've been talking about doing a Q&A for a while now, and I just woke up this morning and I was like, feels like a good day for a Q&A.
Every day is a good day for a Q&A when you're not in a cult. By the way, I have a theory, Aaron. I think John Shatowski is trying to get us all fat. He sent me a box of Grandma's cookies, a giant box of Grandma's cookies.
For real?
And thank you so much, but nope. No. That's like you're gonna get my inner. No, I can't. But he also sent me this, which is kind of funny. So, but I didn't know who this was. I mean, I know because of your guys' talking about it, but actually, I didn't grow up with this dude.
I didn't either.
You didn't? Okay, good. So I think it's a slightly older generation. To be clear. Yeah.
And I looked at the Saturday Night Live skits for Mr. Bill. And did you go and look him up?
I didn't. I should.
So it's just Mr. Bill getting killed in various different ways, right?
Oh.
Over and over and over and over again.
Well, do you remember? I just had a curiosity. Do you watched SNL a little bit, right?
Oh yeah, I watch it all the time. I watch it a lot, even the older stuff.
Do you remember the classic Chippendales dancer tryout with Patrick Swayze? Okay, I mentioned that to Mitch last night, and I don't think he'd seen it because he didn't really laugh at it, or maybe he didn't find it funny. But that is one of the best gets to me ever.
It really is,
because they're talking to each other really nice. Like, I think you got it, man. No, I think you got it, and it's just. It's actually when Chris Farley dances in that. That's how I see myself when I'm on the dance floor. That's what I think I look like.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Well,
I'll try to keep my eye on the live chat here. I know it will look like I'm not paying any attention to you.
Now, come on.
But guys, for the Q&A questions, it'll help us. It'll help us see them in the ocean of the live chat. If you begin your question with all caps, question.
Oh yeah,
and we'll tackle them. Here, this one's just for you. Blake Reed. Hey, Sterling. Love you, guy, but I got to catch you live later. Stay golden.
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. That dude's everywhere.
So anyway, let's just BS around for a little bit while we give people a chance to show up. So what's your how frequently are you uploading now?
I think I'm doing like 4 to 5, maybe four a week. So I've got always Wednesdays with my favorite AA Ron. Close to favorite, by the way, very close to favorite. I now have a board officially. Okay.
What is that?
I'm sorry. That was Reese that wanted me to keep official track of it. No, that's just going along with the fun that we have. But so I've always got you on Wednesdays. I do my Saturday morning stupid stuff that Tom Cruise says, and I do a Sunday chat with Reese. Always fun. And then I try to mix in videos here and there, like on commentary for things that may have happened, big news that you report, or maybe even a video you do. I'll have a commentary on it or some sort of little story to go along with it. Like even yesterday, I just finished watching your video with Mike Brown yesterday, which was fascinating to me. I knew Aaron Woodruff. Now, I had a feeling it might not be because, okay, so someone popped the question, is this Erin Selly, the daughter of Pat Bromley?
I have received some feedback from people who said the last name and the family relationship is wrong.
Right. I believe that. I knew Aaron Woodruff at the same time but there was 2 Aarons at the ranch. One was Aaron Selly, one was Aaron Woodruff. Both went down to PAC. So I was confused. I didn't know which one was actually being spoken about. So I had to clarify that with Mike. Because
So let's clarify for other people who might know who we were talking about yesterday. I think one of the feedback I got was on text. One of the feedback I got was on email. Here's one. It said, I could have the details of okay, so Aaron Steiner, Aaron was in the tech call-in unit of AOLA. She was not a registrar. I think she was at one point the Treasury Secretary of AOLA. And something got her removed. She bought some auditing at the LA org to finish her New Era Dianetics. She was never a reg. We knew her as Aaron Steiner or Aaron Selly.
Yeah, I think I personally think, and that's just, I think there's a mix up on who is being spoken about, because Aaron Woodruff and Aaron Selly are drastically contrasted individuals as far as how sweet and nice they are. And I know everyone has different experiences, but Aaron, I would imagine Aaron Woodruff, who was actually married to Adam Ravini, who was the music director at Gold. I have a feeling she's still there. Aaron Selly is a tiny little girl, petite, but a complete sweetheart, the nicest person.
She is a very small person.
Yes.
And let me see, because I said, oh yes, I do know her. I said, kind of a slightly awkward looking small girl. This person said exactly. She was removed sometime during the basics. And then I said, well, then I started wondering, was it even the same person that Mike was thinking about? And we think it was. Like the question was Aaron Selly at the Ant Ranch?
Yes.
Okay. And Aaron Selly was at AOLA, and she did buy auditing that she shouldn't have had to buy, and she was RPF. So that's a lot of coincidences. I think it is the same person Mike was trying to tell a story about.
I think so too. And what's funny is what indicated that to me was he might have had a good. Aaron Woodruff was a particular. She ended up doing sec checks for RTC at one point. She was a nasty piece of work, and I don't throw that around lightly. I tend to like a lot of people, but I specifically remember Aaron Woodruff when I was there one time when I was in the trees department, just walking by me when she was doing her e-meter training and going, "Oh, Sterling, I can't wait to get you on the meter. I want to find out what you're all about." I'm like, "What? What did you just say to me?" And that was her personality. Aaron Selly, on the other hand, is sweetness and light. I mean, she is just such a sweet little girl. And Pat Bromley, by the way, when I told my story, the auditor that was auditing me while I was trying to leave, when I ran into Dave Miscavage, was Pat Bromley, her mom. So I knew the mom pretty well. And the mom is also a very lovely person.
Very interesting. Yeah, so I never knew the other Aaron.
Sorry, I did that for John Stowski. You didn't know Woodruff.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think many people do. I don't like no one ever knew who her father was. Her mom worked at the base, obviously. She was, I don't know. She was just I'm willing to bet she's still there because she was married to Adam Ravini. So
and what was Adam Ravini's job?
He was the music director. So when Ron Miscavige Sr. in his book tells a story about how he couldn't get anything approved ever, I think that was Adam Ravini who kept rejecting all his work and throwing it back at him. He was kind of the new kid on the block in music when I left. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know if he's at SMP or, but yeah. So anyways, I don't mean to throw a wrench in the works of that whole thing, but I was trying to make sense with what was said and who was being talked about. I do believe it was Aaron Selly, but I'm willing to be wrong too. So.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was. Okay, I've been starring a whole bunch of questions, and let's see what we got here. Nancy New wants to know, do you receive revenue from replays on fundraisers? Yes, because YouTube puts ads on videos, and ads on any videos is revenue to the channel. When you create a fundraiser, that live stream and that fundraiser stays up on YouTube forever. So in other words, if you're watching that fundraiser on replay, you'll see there is no super chat option. Any super chats is a donation to the fundraiser, but ads that YouTube puts on videos is revenue to the channel. So I think that's what you're asking about.
Okay.
Let's see. What Peyton wants to know, what was your first celebrity crushes?
Oh God. You well, whoever can think of it first. I'm trying to think of that. Oh, I know.
Jessica Rabbit.
Close. Phoebe Cates.
Is that from Good Times at Ridgemont High? Or
Yes.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yes, yes. In the red bikini jumping out of the pool. That would be.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think. Honestly, though, it's hard for me to remember movies chronologically. But
know, right?
Reese Witherspoon comes to mind, but I'm not sure chronologically if that one would make sense. Okay. Liz Ferris asked. Oh, I thought I starred Liz's question, but I guess I starred somebody.
I did know Bob Ferris. What a nice guy. I mean, I know, again, not a good situation. I'm sorry that he hasn't spoken to you. I'm sorry about everything that's gone down, but at that particular time at the base, no one. And Bob Ferris was the type of guy that everyone liked. He didn't have a mean bone in his body. He didn't rub anyone the wrong way. He just did his job. He was pleasant to work with. Yeah. So those are my memories of Bob Ferris.
Very cool. Quincy Weiler. Aaron, will you get a chance to sit in and do coverage of any of the upcoming lawsuits? When Leah Remini's lawsuit against Scientology has its first like in-person hearing or preliminary hearing or anything like that, I feel like I'll probably fly to LA for it. I was thinking about this just a day or two ago, whether, because I feel like I had said about one of these lawsuits that I would likely fly to LA for a hearing. And I was trying to think of which one it is. The Val Haney's lawsuit isn't particularly relevant as far as me showing up for a hearing. The Baxter Paris lawsuit is here in Tampa, and I will show up for those hearings. I already showed up for one. The Jane Doe versus Miscavage one, that's not going to get into court for quite a while, I predict. Anyway, I feel like when Leah Remini's lawsuit has its first hearing, that might be worth flying to LA for. So yes, thank you for that question. Victoria Barragan. Question: does Scientology have any rules on tattoos? I used to be a Jehovah's Witness, and we couldn't have any unless getting them removed. And I've never seen a Scientologist with a face tattoo, etc. What's your take on this?
There's nothing in writing, but I would say there's an unspoken rule about it. I can't recall any seaorg member or not Scientologists have tattoos, no question about that. But I can't recall any, from my point as a seaorg member, anyone ever having a tattoo that went below the sleeve level on a short sleeve thing. That being said, I do believe Tommy Davis had a seaorg symbol or the on his arm, and I don't know. I just remember being told a story once about how that rubbed some people the wrong way. Maybe even Dave Miscavage was annoyed that he had that on his shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, no one would even be allowed in the Sea Org with tattoos visible on their neck and face ever.
Oh yeah, not even.
Or even hands.
Yeah. So Scientology parents, if you want your kids not to get into the Sea organization, tattoo them when they're young.
Get those face tattoos on there early. Yeah, there definitely isn't a rule about tattoos other than I guess a lot of Sea Org members would probably interpret the policies about professionalism to kind of be a reason why you weren't allowed to have visible tattoos. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard just never said a word about it. Yeah. Also, I feel like Scientologists would call having visible tattoos being out of valence, being interesting instead of interested, and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, degraded being, they would come up with something.
Yeah. Lisa Marchbanks asks, how is the Freewinds not in tip-top shape with all those folks paying to be there and cleaning it all the time? I think this refers to the fact of the Freewinds going to dry dock. All ships have to go to dry dock every 2 to 5 years or something like that. There's some regular interval that all ships have to go to dry dock. So I don't know enough about the ship life to know whether it's unusual that the Freewinds had to be in dry dock for 21 days or anything about that. But also, I might wonder, how is the Freewinds in? I don't know. I was gonna say, how could it be in tip-top shape when it doesn't get used very often? But I might have that backwards. Like if you have a vintage car, you don't want your car, you're going to keep that car in best shape by not using it. You're not going to. But when you have something like a ship that needs to be operating in order to be kept in peak operating condition, it seems to me that having this thing sit for such long periods of time without being used can't be good for it. But I'm just making that up. I don't know the truth about the matter.
And it's getting pretty old too, right? So it's just a matter of maintenance, seawater, and stuff like that. I'm sure they're on a tight budget too, to some degree. But yeah,
I know, right?
yeah. I mean, if you're not making any money, I mean, no one wants to approve that check.
Yeah. Let's see. Cindy in NS. Where do we think NS is?
North
idea.
Carolina. No, Nova Scotia.
Oh, there you go. I had a client that was doing the Purif. Her twin had a skin reaction that showed he had used psych drugs in the past. Is this actually a thing? No, not at all.
Yeah. I don't think
It seems like every Scientology org or every Scientology Purif in charge has a story of someone taking a towel and wiping off purple residue from their skin to show the toxins. It's all pure bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no skin reaction that can tell you what it's from or anything.
No, and it's funny too, because I've heard so many people, Aaron, have bad stories about doing the Purif, good stories about doing the Purif. And I really think it depends on the situation for you at the time. If you're at Golden Era Productions and you get to do the Purif, to me, that's a blessing, because you got 5 hours of no one can bug you, attack you, or harass you. You have to get sleep. You have to get exercise. So it was a vacation. And then in some cases where that's not an issue, you now have to do this. You have to take so much oil and so much nice. And for me, I loved it, but I think it was just the high of being able to exercise and know that when I was in that box, no one could touch me.
That's right.
That's right. To that.
There's also a couple other things. Any change in routine, physical routine, can make you, especially combined with the placebo effect, where you're told this change in your physical daily routine is going to do great things for you. So on the one hand, doing some change can always make someone feel better. And then being told that this is going to be great for you has the placebo effect of you're trying to manifest that for yourself, whether you know it or not. And, especially you talk about something like a sauna. You jump in the sauna, you take a cold shower, you jump in the sauna, you take a cold shower. You're going to feel refreshed, alert, alive. Maybe not for 5 hours of that. So I wonder for people who actually was like, oh, the Purif, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I'd like to sit down with some of those people and go, okay, but explain to me exactly what it is you loved about it. Because just because you loved it doesn't mean it quote unquote worked. Right. That's true for a lot of Scientology. A lot of Scientology auditing sessions, at the end of them, you feel good.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Right.
Anyway.
And don't forget, if you don't have exercise in your regular routine or schedule, you then do the Purif and you're exercising every day. Guys, that's science. Just exercising and moving your body is going to let the endorphins flow, and you're going to feel happier and better. That's why you exercise a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you don't need to pay $3,000 to do it, and you don't have to take all the shit with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. This next one I'm very interested in. Aaron Sterling from Ms. Pillow. Did you catch Doug's video on his call to Scientology phone number, speaking live at length to a representative? Incredible. Deserves SPTV Crafty Award. His misspeaking Xanu drew the reps, correcting him to Xenu.
I've not seen that.
I have got to see what Doug did. Let me make a note. Doug Kramer Scientology phone call. That sounds like an amazing time. I might have to do a video about his video. Yeah, I'm going to check that out later, Ms. Plo. Thank you for mentioning that.
God, I hope that person was OT3. Otherwise, they're in trouble.
Nancy New said, good to hear, because I fell asleep listening. Oh, okay. That was to the fundraiser thing. Oh, excellent. Okay, this one's to you.
All right.
Sterling. Oh, go ahead. Read it out loud there.
Do you want me to? Okay. Frenchie Irish. I think I said that right. Frenchie. Okay. Question. Sterling. My parents met in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. Were you ever in that area? No, that's crazy. No, I wasn't. I think that was a area that had a lot of outside expats and engineers, because I think they have a refining facility or something there. I never went to Dhahran. I almost went there for a softball tournament while I was in Saudi, but no, I only went between Jeddah, Riyadh, mostly Jeddah, and I did go to Mecca once, but no one was supposed to know that because I'm not Muslim.
Amazing.
I
Is
know,
Mecca the
right?
name
Having
of a
snuck through in
city
the
or the
back
name of
seat.
like a place in the city?
What?
Is Mecca the name of the city itself or the name of a place in the city?
It's the name of the city.
Oh, and
Yeah,
no non-Muslim are supposed to be allowed to go there?
that's right. But that being said, if I got stopped and I said I was a Muslim, that's all it would take. They'd be okay, good, you're good. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And what if you said you weren't a Muslim?
Who knows?
Would they throw
Who
you off a
knows?
roof?
No. They'd probably, because I'm American, they probably would just give me, don't do it again and let me go. They would definitely not. I don't think they would ever contain or hold an American anywhere there. They know the repercussion. They know that does not work out well. So
who would they contain and hold?
The American that was trying to sneak into Mecca.
But who, you said they wouldn't detain an American?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, the government of Saudi Arabia.
So who would they detain and hold?
Oh, that's a good question.
Okay.
This is pure speculative.
I just wondered if there was an obvious answer.
No, there's not. I'm just, I think I've mentioned in stories about Saudi Arabia that when you're an American in Saudi Arabia, you're essentially a VIP. I don't know if it's the same today as it was back then, but you were, because Saudi Arabia's ability to remain and hold its position at that time was based on U.S. military bases nearby and in the area. When Iraq attacked, it was the United States that defended Saudi Arabia. So there's a kind of tentative relationship, but also an understanding between both the countries, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. We have something here. Is Mecca a city? Time for another trivia game.
I believe it is. I could be wrong about that, but I completely believe it is, because it's not called anything else. You don't see Mecca at the Mecca of Anaheim or something. It's the Mecca. It's Mecca.
I think they're making fun of me not knowing that Mecca is a city.
Oh.
So I've seen, footage of, well, what I thought was specifically referred to as Mecca, of this giant cube, and just thousands or tens of thousands of people walking around it. And is it that Mecca is the name of the city, but that what's the word to even call it? What would you, that cube is also called Mecca, or the location where that cube is also called Mecca, or am I getting
no? So the cube has a specific name. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but no, that whole everything. The city is called Mecca. So it is, Mecca is that's what makes it Mecca, but everything surrounding it, the whole place is considered Mecca.
I found the answer. It's the cube is called Mecca Leka Hai Mecca Hani Ho.
No, that's in Hawaii. you Arabic is more guttural. It's more deep, man. You went all Hawaiian on that.
Did you not watch Pee-wee Herman's Pee-wee's Playhouse when you were little?
No, I only saw his one movie.
Mecca Leka Hai Mecca Hani Ho comes from Pee-wee Herman.
Oh, does it? No. Remember, we're slightly different age. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The cube is called the Kaba, meaning cube in Arabic. It is a square building elegantly draped in silk and cotton veil, located in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It is the holiest shrine in Islam. Okay,
it is.
I should probably not call it Mecca Leka Hai Mecca Hani Ho then.
No. I don't think we have a whole lot of Saudi Arabian subscribers, but yeah, I would do that.
What few Saudi subscribers I had just unsubscribed, so that's unfortunate.
You're out.
Okay, Paula Hastings, first super chat. A lot of celebrity focus is on Tom Cruise and John Travolta. I find Elizabeth Moss the most insidious, as Handmaid's Tale, with even a minimal of cognitive dissonance, would be light bulb. Why does no one talk about her? Well, I have thoughts on this. What do you have to say about this?
First of all, I think unless you've been in Scientology, there's no way when you're in Scientology that you would make a connection between those two things. She's love bombed. She doesn't see the abuse unless she's had family members personally disconnected from her. She doesn't see those things. And even if she did see a disconnection, there would be a very good explanation for why that was happening. So as long as she's not participating in beatings or wedging money from people, there's no way she's going to know that. And I don't think that she would be deserving of that sort of treatment, even though she's done things like walking away from, I guess you guys, in an award ceremony or walking out. I don't think she knows. That's my opinion. Now, we don't really bash on JT that much. Tom Cruise we do because, well, he's Dave's best friend and he's a little bit on the inside. I would say Elizabeth Moss is very far from the inside.
Yeah, I almost have to be reminded about Liz Moss
Yep.
because I don't know why. I don't know why. She's just as much of a Scientologist celebrity as Jenna Elfman or Giovanni Ribisi or Michael Pena or any of these other guys. But for some reason, I forget that she's there. I know I'm at odds with most other people on this Handmaid's Tale thing. Even as a former Scientologist and a former seaorg member, I see no similarity or overlap to the story of the Handmaid's Tale to Scientology and the Sea Org. Sea Org members are prevented from having children. Those the people in the Handmaid's Tale are almost used as baby making machines. I mean, I only watched the first season. And I guess other than the fact that it's, I mean, you could say it's culty, but the Handmaid's Tale doesn't even strike me as a show about a cult. It strikes me more as a show about slavery.
Right.
And then you go, okay, well, you could say that the Sea Org workers are essentially slave laborers, but anyway, I fail to see the same connection that many other people see to that show.
Right.
Like you said, if you're a Scientologist, there's no part of the Handmaid's Tale that's going to make you go, oh no, this is like us. Whereas when I watched Swing Kids, which was a movie about Nazism and the Hitler Youth, the whole thing, only thing I could think of while watching that movie was, oh my God, this is like the Sea Org.
Yeah, or Jim Jones documentary, The People's Church. You're going to see so many similarities there. But I agree with you. I think it's that maybe they're talking about the control factor, the high control factor in that. But that would be the only real thing. That being said, the main character in 1984, who's persecuted throughout the whole book and in the end finally is brainwashed, that's a good example of a long-term Sea Org member and what can happen to them at the end of their life and how they'll just believe that no matter what comes from Big Brother, it makes sense. That's more of a correlation to me than anything with Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
That being said, she's a great actress. It's a fantastic show, albeit very dark. It's a fantastic show. We can't comment more on that. I don't think that she would see that at all.
Okay, so curious about cults. How do Scientologists make sense of how expensive it is? Is it justified because greater wealth means you are more worthy? How did you justify not advancing up the bridge if you truly believed? What's your take on this, Sterling?
It's two different questions there. One, I cannot answer because I didn't spend any money on Scientology. I didn't, I had no correlation between money spent in that. And someone actually recently commented on my chat about how they thought Scientology worked, and they said, "How, Sterling, can you comment on this when you've already said that you never moved up the bridge?" I need to answer that chat, but I want to point out is that that's not me that said that. That's Aaron that said that.
Said what?
Remember how you didn't do any auditing? You never moved up the bridge.
Oh, that's true. As far as actual bridge steps, that's true.
Yeah. So I actually attested to Clear when I was 12 or 13 years old. So I did get quite a bit of auditing as a kid.
But hold on, did you attest to Clear as a past life Clear or because you did New Era Dianetics?
Past life Clear.
But that's not doing the bridge, though.
No, but I'm just saying I got a lot of auditing as a kid. So I went through my grades, ARC straight wire.
Oh.
Yeah, because my mom was a senior CSAOLA, Barbara, my stepmom, and my aunt Griffey was the internship soup, and I kept getting in trouble for fighting with teachers in public school and at the cadet org. So they put me in session quite a bit, and so I got to move up the bridge a little bit. Now, that's when I stopped. Once I hit Clear, I never did a single thing again, but I did get a lot of auditing when I was a kid. And, from what I remember, I didn't hate it, but there was nothing particularly special about it. It was really just questions and answers. I did have an extreme blow up when I was doing, what's the one, Aaron, where they have you walk back and forth and touch the wall and then walk the other
objectives. That's one of the objectives process. The SOP8C maybe.
Yeah. Objectives. When I did that, it took two grown adults 4 hours to wrangle me from running around the block, catch me, bring me back up to AOLA, put me back in the room to finish up the thing. I did not like being controlled. In the end, though, I mean, whatever. The lower part of Scientology, essentially, in some cases, is just a therapy talking. I did not get sec checked when I was a kid. Would not have liked that. No one ever tried that. I didn't get a sec check until I was mid-teens when I was up at the int base. Actually, surprisingly enough, I didn't get sec checked once until 4 years into being at Golden Era Productions Air, and I didn't even get sec checked to go to gold.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
You didn't get your
I
int
didn't have to get
clearances?
Nope, not at all.
Wow.
I know, right? It was just a loophole that I managed to slip into. And and so once I got the first interrogation, guys, no, that probably is what turned me off to doing ever again. It's not enjoyable at all. That being said, I hope that answers your question. I didn't truly believe. I've said earlier that I saw people that were at the top of the bridge, and I was like, well, if that's what we're trying to achieve, I'm not interested, because I was like, yeah, they're.
So here's some of my thoughts on this. Yeah. I think there was a period in the 80s, if I recall correctly, not from firsthand memory, but from other people explaining it, where there was a massive price hike over a very short period of time. It was one of these things where prices were going to go from whatever the status quo was to like multiple times higher. And it was one of these things where it was staggered, where like the next month, the prices are going to go up 10%. Next month, or 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, month after month after month after month. And at that time, the registrars used that as a way to sell a crap ton of auditing, because everyone knew international management had come down with the new price structure and the new price schedule. And if you didn't buy your stuff now, you were going to be paying 20% more next month, or something like this. I'm sure I've got the numbers wrong on this. My point in just commenting on that is, it was a very specific and deliberate choice by management at that time that they were going to increase prices. It's not essential. It's not based on some basic fundamental Scientology principle that prices absolutely have to and must be as high as they are right now. The evidence for that is the prices used to be much, 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 much lower. And now L. Ron Hubbard has said, you can't give Scientology away for free because people won't value it. I mean, even certain sales philosophy, there's certain even sales philosophy about that. But when I've heard, I'm being very long-winded about how do Scientologists justify the price. There's an L. Ron Hubbard policy called "What Your Donations Buy," and that policy was written when prices were relatively low. And that policy explains the cost structure, more or less, of how expensive it is to run Scientology. And even though that policy letter was written when prices were much, much lower, that same policy letter is just the exact same justification used for why prices are as high as they are today. So it's not, but it's not necessarily that the more you pay for it, it says, is it justified because greater wealth means you are more worthy? That's not even necessarily what it is, right? And Scientologists do. Would you agree with this, Sterling? Scientologists do think prices are too high. Scientologists do complain about the cost of auditing. They just know not to complain about it too loudly or to the wrong people, because then they will have to pay for the sec checking to find out why they're complaining about the prices of the auditing.
I would agree. Yes, I would absolutely agree. And it is true. It's funny. It's you're stuck in a rock and a hard place on that one. You cannot complain about that whatsoever. But yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree.
And how did you justify not advancing up the bridge if you truly believed? So for me, it wasn't really a justification. It was, I did not like talking about myself. Like, imagine you're a kid. Kids have secrets. Kids have things they're ashamed of or embarrassed about. The idea of taking a kid, a school-age kid, and sticking them in a locked room with a stranger and expecting them to be comfortable divulging things that are embarrassing to them, I could never wrap my head around it. And it's one of these things where it was just so evident that everyone seemed to expect that I and anyone else in my situation should be okay with this, that I never wanted to say I wasn't okay with it, but I was never okay with it. And there's this one auditing action called Grade 0, which is about communication, where the end result of that auditing action is supposed to be totally willing and able to communicate with anyone on any subject, basically at any time. Well, guess what? I never did Grade 0. and so, not that if I had, it would have been great for me. It probably would have been absolutely horrible for me. But okay, so justifying was just, I didn't want to do it. And for me, it was actually a big problem for me, because I did believe in the grand overarching story of full OT and the prison planet. And I knew that I wanted to be OT or go OT. I just knew that I didn't really want to travel the path that it took to get there. And I never knew how I was going to resolve that for myself. It was a big problem for me. So yeah, that's a good question. Appreciate that. Let's see here.
And just to put it clearly, relatable. Reese and I did do our grade 0 because we can talk apparently about anything on a live. Apparently, yeah.
Let's see here. Rachel wants to know, how mad do you think David Miscavage is that the protest disrupted the weekend at St. Hill?
I mean, I haven't watched all the videos yet. I don't know how much it disrupted things. I mean, bravo to Post-Alex for arranging that and for protesting. I couldn't say how much it actually disrupted. I mean, if people were still allowed to get in the gate, and I mean, inside the church, Aaron, they're always just going to say, well, those are just bitter people. I mean, I don't think they really have a large reaction to that sort of thing. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Dave's annoyed, but Dave will get annoyed about anything. There's nothing they could have done to stop that protest. So how mad could you be? That being said, I'm sure some people are still in trouble that the protesters were not harassed more than they were. You know what I mean? That there weren't counter protesters out there. I'm sure someone's in trouble for something.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's see. I know I've not been keeping an eye on the live. I still have tons of starred questions, but I'm sure I'm missing some awesome questions.
I've tried to star a couple of them. One that's slightly controversial, so you can choose or not to bring that one up. But yeah, I've been trying to get. While you were talking, I was trying to get. Oh,
good. If you see some, some. Okay, let me see. Shastowski, John. Oh, hold on. John Shastowski, Sterling, squeeze the Mr. Bill doll to hear her speak. You did that earlier, right?
I did that, yes.
Okay, good. Blake, oh, hey, Aaron, love you too, big guy. Didn't see you before I signed off, but I'm going for real this time.
Nice, get back to work, dude.
Okay, Curious Cat, what's been your most favorite thing experienced since leaving Scientology?
That's a solid traveling for me.
Yeah. That's a good question. I've traveled all over the world since leaving Scientology. I haven't been to Australia. I've been to South America. I've been to Russia. I've been to China. I've been to Italy. I've been to the UK. I've been to England. I've been to Scotland. I've been to Austria. I still want to go to Germany. I've not been to Germany, and I want to go to Ireland. I've not been to Ireland. And also, I've done a bunch of skydiving, and I went to the Emmy Awards. Those are probably traveling, the skydiving, and the Emmys for me are the.
You've been skydiving?
I've done 26 solo jumps.
Damn, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's something wrong with an individual that jumps out of a perfectly operational airplane, but
the 26th jump didn't go that well, so that was my last jump.
What? No, did you have to pull your back up?
No, I almost didn't pull my chute before I hit the ground. It was very, very scary.
Can I ask why?
Very scary. It's one of those things where when I'd never had a problem trying to pull my chute before. And I went to reach for it and I destabilized and I tumbled and then I got flat again and I went to reach for it. Like people think there's a ripcord. Like there's no ripcord anymore. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
There's basically a pocket at the bottom of what I'm just going to call your backpack because it's the parachute is like a backpack. There's a pocket and the what do they call the chute? That's the small chute for the big chute. The drogue. What do they call the pilot chute?
The tiny one. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
And there's a little pilot. I'm just going to call it a pilot chute. And at the top of the pilot chute is a hacky sack, a literal hacky sack. Okay.
What?
So you tuck the pilot chute into the pocket and the hacky sack is sticking out of the pocket. Okay. You reach out and you grab the hacky sack because it's easy to hold on to.
Right.
And you throw it away from you. And then the pilot chute catches the air and it pulls out. And then that's what pulls out the big chute. Anyway, reached for the hacky sack, destabilized, couldn't find it, destabilized. Start tumbling. When you start tumbling, you go from 120 miles an hour to about closer to 200 miles an hour. So when you're tumbling and you can't pull your chute when you're going that fast because it'll mess you up. Okay.
Right.
So you got to get flat again. And then I reach for it again. I'm like, where the fuck is it? And I start tumbling again and I get flat again and I start tumbling again. And I'm like, I'm going to be that dumb son of a bitch you read about in the newspaper that hits the ground with their chute never deployed. I'm like, and the ground's getting close.
Dude, I can only imagine.
And I'm like, my life's flashing before my eyes. I'm like, I'm going to be that stupid asshole in the newspaper.
And at
I'm
that
like,
point, you thought, I should have gotten more Scientology auditing. Son of a bitch.
and so I go, I'm not going to be that asshole. So with both hands, just totally destabilized, with both hands, I reach for that thing. And when my chute, my strap, which is tight around your chest,
Right.
I was falling so fast when my chute deployed. My strap came up and whacked me in the face, cut my lip open, which made me feel mildly concussed, right?
Right.
And I was less than 1,000 feet from the ground when that chute opened.
Holy. And so how was the landing then? Was it?
I totally missed
slowed down enough.
Totally missed the landing.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, I was going slow enough. I mean, once that chute opens, that you're pretty much you slow down pretty much immediately.
Okay.
And it was absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I was like, you know what? That's just not worth it.
But good on you for doing that, man. I want to try that sometime for sure.
Yeah. And you know, the only reason I started doing the skydiving is because I was taking flying lessons.
Yeah.
And I just had this imminent fear of free fall. Like meaning free fall was something like, I was afraid of the free fall sensation. And it was interfering with my ability to just comfortably be in a small airplane.
Right.
And I was like, I got to get over the free fall sensation or the fear of it. And so I did the jumping. And now I'm like, I love free fall. So like I have a Busch Gardens thing. And I'll just go to the roller coaster park by myself. No kids, no nothing. I'll just go by myself and go on the free fall ride like, 10 or 12 times and then go home.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I have a fear of sharks, so I swam with sharks in the Bahamas. You know, that was my sort of challenge. That skydiving, I think, is a whole nother level. It's dangerous. One mistake and you're dead. But at the same time, dating in LA is kind of the same thing. So you never know.
That is very
that's
funny.
the danger I choose. But anyways, I did not know that about you, Aaron. That's cool. That is super cool. I mean, not cool that you almost died. Awesome that you did that.
Speaking of dating, you found out that someone you dated a couple years ago showed up in a photo with Tom Cruise at the event in England this weekend.
That was super strange. And she posted on her Instagram a picture of the turret at St. Hill. Now, I've never been to St. Hill, but I looked at it and I go, that's interesting. And in her thing, she said, I love the UK because of the castles and beaches or something along that line. I was like, okay, I didn't pay any attention to it. Then about an hour later, it pops up a picture with her and Tom Cruise. And I sent this to you last night, right? And I'm like, what the? Now,
I mean, inside the event.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to probably say not the event, but the night, whatever the following events are.
The concert. I mean,
yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I would have guessed that you had to be a Scientologist to get into the event.
Mm-hmm.
I would have guessed that you had to be a Scientologist to get into the patrons ball.
Yep.
I would guess you don't have to be a Scientologist to get into the charity concert event on the third night.
Yes.
So is it possible she was there on the third night for some reason?
That's what I think, because she only posted it yesterday. So yeah. So, late post, who knows? I'm 90% sure, 99% sure she's not a Scientologist. I figured that may have come up, but just based on the discussion I had with her, when we went on a date, I don't think she is, but it was surprising. Hey, she's still friends with me on Instagram, and she's got a picture with her and Tom Cruise. He's once removed from a declared SP. But yeah, no, that's when stuff like that happens, Aaron. It's like, what?
Are you still in touch with her at all?
Every once in a while. I mean, she's got a boyfriend, or a fiance now, I think. So, but we still stay in touch because she's a sweetheart. She was a flight attendant. That's how I met her.
Yep. Oh, wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. This question comes up every now and then. It's probably worth answering. Joanna Phillips, question: what is one positive you take from the cult that you are both in?
Oh, I'm going to go with work ethic. But you have to be careful about that, because sometimes you can go to the extreme. But the ability to, and this is not exclusive to Scientology, I understand that, but the ability to, once you go to tackle something, just go for it.
Yeah. There is a concept in Scientology It's a derogatory concept. The idea of thinking that you have to have before you can do. And so in Scientology, the idea is you can do anything you need to do, even if you don't have everything that you need in order to do it. This concept applied in certain ways, I've found extremely helpful. Now, there's obviously the ways in which it can be overextended. Like you can't perform surgery without having the knowledge needed on how to perform the surgery. But that's not really what that principle refers to. Anyway, I have found the idea or having grown up in an environment where you're told you can do get rid of the idea that you have to have A, B, and C before you can accomplish or try to do X, Y, and Z is something, an idea that I have found helpful in my life. So that's at least one answer.
Okay.
Don't go joining Scientology just to learn more about that.
Yeah. Don't read a book.
The Peace Lady. Question: any Scientology thoughts on being right or left-handed?
No, they don't actually practice any science, and there is scientific facts related to a left-handed or right-handed person depending on what side of the brain they're using. But no, except for that, I think they were probably annoyed they had to make left-handed meters for people. That would be the extent of it. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can you do a community post with all the Scientology acronyms and their meanings? Someone gave me a bunch of materials the other day. Here, just answer something about this. I'm going to grab something.
Okay. Macy Shiloh, can you do something? Can you do a community post with all COS acronyms and their meanings? I'm definitely not going to do that, but I have a feeling that Aaron's about to come back with something interesting in regards to that. Whoa. Okay.
Okay. So check this out. First of all, the answer to this question is no. There's way too many acronyms and meanings, and nobody would go and read that post anyway. That's just not how the internet works. This is the Scientology Technical Dictionary. Stone, you see this is brand spanking new.
Is it really?
A local Scientologist whose family is leaving Scientology gave me the entire set of Congresses, Basics, and ACCs,
What?
including all of the Golden Age of Tech 2 Academy training materials. Okay. And so this is just some examples here. So this technical dictionary, like these are just excerpts and quotes from L. Ron Hubbard bulletins on the definitions of Scientology's technical words. This is just an example of the course pack for Scientology registrars, fundraisers. Now, this was in the pack of materials I got, even though it's not like a Golden Age of Tech 2 thing or anything like that. There's some stuff here I told Serge that I wanted to do videos with him on. Check this out. Expanded ARC straight wire process checklists. Okay. Oops. All the grade 0, the new grade 0 process checklists. Grade 1. Grade 2. This is the entire grades indoctrination pack that they're using for Golden Age of Tech 2. Just some, like, people, the one thing we don't actually talk a lot about on all of our channels, because it's hard and who's going to care, is what does auditing actually look like? Because people understand, they hear us talk about sec checking. It's much harder to explain in a normal auditing session. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
So guys, you've heard a lot of us talk about the objectives processes or the new survival rundown. This is the first one I've ever had my hands on this. This is the survival rundown. I wanted to say this was the process list, but it's not. I think this is the this is the indoctrination. This is how to do different. This is training on how to be a survival rundown auditor or just to audit the objectives. But check it out. Look at this book, dude. This is the new book of objectives process. This is what the survival rundown. This is the expanded book of objectives processes that everyone has to do on the survival rundown. This is thousands. Is it thousands or just hundreds? How many pages are in this thing? There's 800 pages in this book, dude.
Wow.
And I'm going and I want to go through this with Serge because I want people to understand when we say objectives auditing, what exactly does that mean? Okay, so here's just an example. So this is called blind control connectedness. And then there's a list of L. Ron Hubbard references that this process comes from. And it says the procedure. Oddly enough, you cannot describe the object to a blind person. You don't say, feel that wall or feel this ashtray. You use bluntly just object. So the command is feel that object. And then, so feel that object. Thank you. You get the idea of making that object connect with you. Thank you. Repeat the commands alternatively over and over using various objects to end phenomena. Caution. Note carefully that we have him get the idea of making the object connect with him. We never command the pre-clear to get the other idea of connecting with the object. This is a no games condition. This is what is wrong with the pre-clear. End phenomena. There is the same lag from the moment the command is given until the time the pre-clear answers the command at least 3 times in a row. A cognition occurs, an ability is regained. Yeah, so guys, this is how mind-numbingly, what does it say? The pages would make great lining for bird cages.
Yeah.
This is how mind-numbingly monotonous most of these objectives auditing sessions are. Hours and hours and hours of feel that object. Thank you. You get the idea of making that object connect with you. Thank you. Feel that object, picking a different object. Feel that object. Thank you. You get the idea of making that object connect with you. Thank you. And you're going to do that over and over and over for hours if needed until you have the same hesitation. They call it the comm lag, the time between the point the auditor asks you to do the command and the time it takes you to actually do the command. Okay. When you do that 3 times in a row with the same level of hesitation or lack of hesitation, and a cognition occurs. Now, a cognition means a realization about life. It could be about anything. Oh my God, I just realized. Finish the sentence any way you want, and that's a cognition. Okay. And an ability is regained. So you have to say that you've literally just recovered some ability to do something, anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. And that's it. Anyway, I've never seen one of these before in real life. And that's part of what I got in this.
That's insane.
I mean, I probably got what to a Scientologist is about $15,000 in materials.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, in the real world, they're worth about $15.99.
Yeah. You would, if you want to fall asleep at night, just lend that book to someone.
Yeah.
But no, that's crazy. That'd be interesting to see you do that series. Again, guys, I have no technical training, so I couldn't even begin to comment on any of that. But you and Serge would probably be great at that. I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Sean Elliott asks, why didn't Shelley and Dave have children?
Complete opinion, but I don't think Dave likes children.
Yes. Now, some might say, well, they're not allowed to have children, but Shelley and Dave were married back in the area when you could, right?
Yep, absolutely. Right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Guys, we should thank our lucky stars he didn't have children. We'll leave it at like that wouldn't have been good. So yeah.
Okay, let's see. Kara Marcus, my antipsychotic for bipolar 1 has saved my mind and life. Do you think that L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology are against psych meds to keep the unwell confused and more easily manipulated? What do you think?
I think no. I think absolutely no. I think that psychology, psychiatry, when they bashed Dianetics, at that point, L. Ron just went on a roll and just painted them as enemy number one. I don't think there's any master plan that they have in regards to that. They didn't keep track of all the drug schedules and what would treat what, and let's just go against it. I think he just truly held a grudge for a very, very long time, which is kind of ironic too, because the psychologists, albeit they're much better at it, are just listening to the patient in most cases and talking with them and running through their problems with them. And it's very similar to what the beginning Scientology auditing is. So I think and I think he didn't even thank Sigmund Freud in the original Dianetics book or something like that. Do you remember that, Aaron?
You said when he thanked Sigmund Freud in the beginning?
Yeah. So it's just
yes,
weird
in the early versions of Dianetics, he did.
Yeah. So I never totally understood that because I did know that. But I just think I don't think there was any master plan. I think he just held a grudge because he got dunked on big time by that particular group.
Yeah. There is this interesting contradiction in Scientology where Scientologists will tell you that they believe they actually that the Scientology tech is suitable and adequate to solve what's wrong with these people who would otherwise by psychiatrists be diagnosed with various mental illnesses. And the contradiction is that anyone who comes into a Scientology organization who exhibits any symptoms or behavior of being unstable or mentally unwell is banned from coming into the organization.
Yep.
Scientology will not touch anyone who exhibits behavior or manifestations of being mentally unstable.
Yep.
And yet they still will fight that person getting treated by normal mental health, actual professional mental health professionals.
And that's Lisa McPherson for you, right? When
Yes.
she had her a psychotic break and went to the hospital, they showed up en masse to just stop her from seeing someone. And arguably at that particular point in time, had she gotten some treatment from a professional, she may still be alive.
Yeah. Okay, here's a fun one. Were you only forbidden from watching stuff that attacked Scientology, or were other things included? As a Jehovah's Witness, we weren't allowed to watch Harry Potter, etc., because of witchcraft from Victoria Barragan. What's your experience with this?
No, we definitely were forbidden from watching anything that attacks Scientology. I don't remember there ever being any sort of ban on movies for a particular reason, except for when I left. What was that famous kind of self-help thing in the early 2000s? Was it?
Oh, like the cures they don't want you to know about. What was that guy? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. He was writing a book. It was called The Postulate or the something or other.
Oh, The Secret.
The Secret. Yes. Yeah. That I
That's
heard
right.
was banned a little bit in my time there. Like even the original Airplane had a little clip about Scientology where they're walking through the airport and they're being approached by all these different religious groups and the pilot's throwing these people left and right. And one of them goes, Scientology, and throws them. I mean, my dad didn't stop me from watching that movie. I actually thought it was cool that they mentioned Scientology, not knowing the entire context. But no, I don't remember being anything banned like that. Dave Miscavage, though, however, did comment on some contemporary stuff. He did not like Eminem. So, you did not want to be caught dead listening to Eminem during Post. So I put on headphones. He also did a bass briefing at INT one time, Golden Air Productions, when he was commenting on how far South society has gone in general, because the most popular TV show right now, and this was in the 90s, is a TV show about a bunch of 30-somethings living together and having sex with each other. And he was referring to Friends, believe it or not. Yeah. I remember thinking, well, I got to see that show. And maybe why I wanted to see it so bad when I was leaving. But no, he absolutely made that comment at a base briefing, which is just insane when you think about it. But no, other than that, no, there was no super controlled thing. But
so the only things that would be banned were things that were considered offshoots or a little too close to the OT levels. So, or that would be considered restimulative in general. So there was a book called The Gods of Eden in the 90s that was getting very popular amongst Scientologists.
Oh, really?
And an issue was put out that this book was prohibited from being read by Scientologists.
Oh,
and I'm sure there were other examples like that, but The Gods of Eden is the only one. And it had to do with aliens. It had to do with aliens, back that the gods of Eden in our, in the scriptures or whatever, these so-called gods were really aliens. And that was just considered a little too close to home.
Right.
A little too restimulative, a little too offbeat, a little too squirrely.
But then they had that Jim Marrs book, which kind of said the same thing.
I know. Rule by Secrecy was all about that.
Secrecy.
And that was mandatory reading for all OSA staff.
That's insane to me.
Alien Agenda, Rule by Secrecy.
Yeah, but I love those books, by the way. But yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand. That's the thing. Sometimes they make no sense at all. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And that's one of them that I can never understand. But yeah.
Okay, and go ahead.
No, sorry, we're good. Good.
Ann Burrow, do you know any ex-Scientologists in Australia? Would love to see an Australian SP channel talking about their experience in Australia. Unfortunately, Jason's content doesn't interest me. Oh, I see. There are former Scientologists in Australia. There's Laura Baxter, Gawain Baxter, Valeska Paris. Now, those guys aren't going to do channels because they're, in the middle of litigation against Scientology. What other, I know I'm missing a lot. What other former Scientologists, Australian former Scientologists can you think of?
I can think of none.
Oh, for real?
None. Yeah. You just named 3 people that wouldn't even cross my mind for some reason. I only know Mike Rinder's the one that just comes to mind, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But who's Jason?
Who's Jason Baxter?
Unfortunately, Jason's content doesn't interest me.
Jason is the guy I've done a bunch of videos with. Jason Havardik.
Oh, he's the one that wants to debate with you about how Scientology works.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. That's how I see it in a nutshell.
Okay, let me see here. TT Greco.
No, Janice. Janice is Australian.
Well, there you go. But she didn't
She's
spend a
not
lot
in
of time.
Australia.
And she didn't spend a lot of time doing Scientology in Australia either, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, TT Greco. Question to Aaron. Did you not know that History of Man is part of the OT8 course? It will never be removed from circulation, regardless of the Piltdown Man hoax. This is probably something that's been explained to me several times, and I always forget. If you had asked me 5 minutes ago, do they use the History of Man book on OT8? I would have said, I don't think so. And even now that you're jogging my memory, I still could not tell you what in the world they use the History of Man book for on OT8. Have you ever heard anything about this, Sterling?
No, I didn't know that. I mean, I know History of Man delves into a lot of stuff, but I did not know that.
Yeah.
It is weird, Aaron. It's always been surprising to me that L. Ron Hubbard covered stuff that was later confidential materials in a lot of his 1950s lectures.
Yeah.
And you just had to really go search for them, and then you would kind of get the gist of everything. And actually, arguably, some of his 1950 lectures are more interesting than the OT3 materials as far as stories go. So I never understood why they did it that way. But yeah, let's not try to apply logic to Scientology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JW says, when a child is systematically denied privacy, it cannot form an identity since they don't know who they are when they're alone with themselves. It was another cult tactic. Very interesting. Miss Ann Thorpe, 1984 is 100% the story of life as a Scientologist.
I would say yes.
And Darla Curry, watch SNL Sweaty Balls. That's a holiday classic, and I've watched it dozens and dozens of times.
I got to watch it. Yeah. Is it good?
Oh yeah. It is Alec Baldwin, and I'm going to forget who the other the women who joined him in the skit. And they're talking about I think his last name is Shweddy or something. And he bakes these Christmas balls. And so he calls them his Shweddy balls. Or it's something like this. It's very, very funny. Okay. Faye Senkbell wants to know if there's a moderator available.
Yeah, apparently there was someone in there trolling. That's okay. I actually have an email from 2 lovely ladies that I need to get back to. So I'm going to work on some of that stuff today, and then that way I can reach out and do whatever. Yeah.
There we go. Yep. Kevin Trudeau is exactly who I was thinking of. Many people don't know Kevin Trudeau is a Scientologist. When I was in the Sea Org in LA at ASHO, Kevin Trudeau came in and tried to give us a $200,000 check for auditing. And OSA, I mean, this is one of the very few examples of Scientology being like, do not take this guy's money. OSA already knew that this guy had a reputation for making money through fraudulent means. And I don't even have the details. I just know that the registrars were very hard up to get their stats up that week. And they ignored OSA's order not to deposit that check. And they deposited it anyway. Ooh. And Vinny Ruffalo and Emmanuel Jamin were in a lot of trouble that week. Yeah, Kevin Trudeau in his one of his famous books that came out was it was like all these cures they don't want you to know about. I'm going to try to find the book because he mentions Dianetics in the book. Here we go. The book came out in 2004. Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About, published in 2005. The book was criticized for containing no actual cures. And Trudeau claimed he was not able to include them because of threats by the FTC. The book became a bestseller, selling 5 million copies. Now, let me see if it mentions anything about Dianetics in this Wikipedia page. Scientology. Oh, Scientology. Here we go. Trudeau served most of his sentence at the federal prison camp in Montgomery, Alabama. Later, he was transferred to a Chicago area halfway house program. He is still involved in publicity for his global information network, which by one account is using some of the language of Scientology to attract members. Yeah, okay, that's it. That's all it mentions about Scientology. Yeah, Kevin Trudeau, a guy who's so dirty and so scammy, Scientology didn't want his money. And as far as I'm concerned, Grant Cardone is as dirty and as scammy as Kevin Trudeau. But for some reason, Scientology will accept Grant's money.
Because he took a while to get scammy like that. And he wasn't that big when he first started in Scientology, maybe.
It's totally possible. All right, let's see. I still have a bunch of starred ones, but I don't have any new starred ones. And I just want to, hey, can you look at some of the newer stuff and see if there's anything more to star? Well,
yeah, you got it. You got it.
Titanic wants to know, Sterling, how come you're always so chill? Do you meditate? I need some of that easy vibes.
I'm not always so chill. But I do it took me a while after leaving to realize that getting stressed out over things sometimes isn't beneficial. So I make it a point now to try and just let things roll a little bit and understand that the world's not perfect. People aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. And so I kind of roll with that. I don't actually meditate, but exercise and doing the things you love is very beneficial. And so that's what I try to focus on.
Very nice.
Very, very nice. And a little bit of alcohol. What?
Okay, I just saw one that I want to pull up, and then I lost it. This isn't it, but has Miscavage stated whether or not he himself has done the unreleased OT levels? I have something to say on this, but since you're a former seaorg member from international management, what was your understanding or your belief about either the existence of the upper OT levels or whether Dave was doing them?
Okay, so that's a good question. Pretty simple for me. I assumed, unquestionably, that if it was on the grade chart, it had been done already. Didn't even think twice about it. Wouldn't think twice about it for sure there. That being said, when it comes to David Miscavage himself, I did always wonder. I would look at him and go, I wonder if he's OT 15 already, or maybe he's just OT 8, or maybe he's OT 9 going on to OT 10. I wonder. And I want to say I saw his PC folder somewhere once. And you know how the PC folders have the stripes for where you're at on the bridge, but I can't remember exactly what I saw, but it was a question that constantly went through my mind as to where he may be and what level. And
do you remember what color stripes? Do you remember what color stripes were on his folder?
I don't. I wish I could. I remember just noticing it and it.
Do you remember the color schemes? What the case levels are?
Wasn't blue OT8.
So let me walk through this and see if I can recall. Yellow was OT3.
Okay.
I thought yellow and blue was OT4, but now you're making me wonder whether it's OT8. Yellow and red is OT5. Yellow and purple is OT7. And now you got me questioning OT8 because I was going to say, shit, I can't remember what OT8 was. Yellow and blue was either OT4 or OT8, but maybe someone in the live chat knows. I'll keep an eye out on it.
And I remember seeing two stripes. But memory, guys, is not perfect. So, you can't quote me on that one. I just remember wondering, and he actually did a demonstration once in front of the Gold Base and Int Base crew at Golden Air Productions on a meter where he had a camera pointing at a meter. And I think this was the beginning of the golden age of tech thing. And he was giving an example of an FN and he was holding the cans. And I do remember thinking, going, oh, what if there was a dirty needle when he was doing that in front of the entire crew? I was like, fingers crossed. But no, I just wondered. You didn't know, but I for sure thought there's no way someone as competent as L. Ron Hubbard, someone with so much foresight, would not have finished all the OT levels. And that's why he went off to the next thing. And again, that's just, you don't question. You didn't really question L. Ron Hubbard when you were in there. Because as far as you knew, the way they set it up, he was essentially a deity. He was this untouchable, perfect person who had a great family, et cetera, et cetera. Though I did know that his son was out of the Sea Org, and that did a little bit hit me like, okay, well, why wouldn't they be in charge of Scientology? But you know, that was it. So
L. Ron Hubbard's son.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
Arthur. Yeah,
okay.
like it was a little weird, right? You would think that the family would take over the reins of that particular religion, but you know,
Right.
oh,
Now
anyway.
I can just say that the rumor line in the Sea Org in LA
Mhm.
between 2002 and 2006, when Miscavage was rolling out the Ideal Org program, and he kept talking about new orders of magnitude, new orders of magnitude, new orders of magnitude. Well, orders of magnitude is the name of OT9 on the bridge. And everyone's like, oh my God, that's the reason for these new strategies that never would have been okay before or never would have come up before, because he's doing OT9, and whatever he's learning on OT9 is why we're seeing all these drastic changes. It was almost in part the explanation for why it was okay to introduce
Right.
such drastic changes, when usually you'd never be. I mean, it would be considered almost anti-Scientologist to introduce such drastic changes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I could see that. Again. So that's what the contrast between someone that was in a service organization and someone that was I mean, they're essentially their own bubbles inside a bubble. We didn't know much about anything, to be honest with you, outside of our particular little functions at Golden Air Productions in a lot of cases. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's weird in the live chat. I'm seeing people complaining about buffering and sound problems. Everything looks and sounds exactly perfect to me from where I'm sitting. How about you?
Yeah, and that could be a YouTube thing. That could be yeah.
Okay, good. Let's see here.
Someone did ask for both of us to adjust our mics, but you know, my
Yeah.
mic's good right now. So
Some of these questions are way too super specific, I think. Well, let me see. All right, let's just do this. Sterling, I know that Annie Tidman ended her days in Los Angeles. How did she go from CMO Gold to Los Angeles? Was that only because she was ill? How did you go from CMO Gold to Cine? Did you ask for it? Or, I mean, it's a very specific question, but go for it.
it is, but I'll answer. I don't know about Annie Tidman. I don't know why she went to LA. That just, I guess, happened. That probably they didn't want the people at Golden Air Productions to see her advanced deterioration. As for myself, I've told that story before. Pretty simple. I didn't ask to go. I was removed from CMO Gold. I went to a states division, the grounds department, and I was in charge of the trees at that particular point in my life. So that's a quick answer to that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What has been the toughest interview for you both? And what topic are you struggling to speak on?
I think that's pretty simple for both of us, right? For me, it's definitely my dad. I've gone on with Mark and Janice and talked about that, and I get pretty emotional when I talk about my dad and the concept that I might not be able to see him even before he passes, because Scientology would make a point of making sure I didn't see him. That's kind of what hurts me a lot. So that's the short answer. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's anything about my brother and anything about my wife's family disconnecting from her and our kids. It just, time doesn't make it easier.
No.
And it's why I never talk about it, because it's just, I mean, what's the point of talking about it over and over and over again? But
Right.
it does come up when I'm doing interviews on other channels, because of course they're, asking me about my story. So I try to get through it as quickly as I can, but I rarely am able to do so without, getting
No.
emotional to some degree.
I agree. And I actually had to take a break for a week after that. I just didn't want to talk about much after that. And so, yeah, but got over it. I'm back. Hey, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anon says that was a common thing for public Scientologists to believe that DM did the upper OT levels.
Interesting.
I'm still looking in the chat, guys. Someone please tell me, what was the PC folder color scheme for OT4 versus OT8? Because I'm totally blanking on it. Okay, the more I think about it, I think yellow and blue was OT8. Okay. I now cannot remember what OT4 was.
And wasn't clear just green?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm remembering that. Okay.
Okay, let's see. Question. Can you live in Clearwater safely without being in Scientology? I'm looking for Florida places to live and would love y'all's options. Best place to live in Florida. Well, I can't comment on the best place to live in Florida, but Scientology is so much smaller than anyone thinks it is. And that's even true in Clearwater, Florida. There's less than 3,000 Scientologists in Clearwater, and that includes all of the Sea Org members. All of the Sea Org members who rarely leave the 4 walls of where they live and where they work. So I guess 8 walls. There's over 120,000 citizens in Clearwater. Maybe 3,000 of them are Scientologists. I live 5 minutes from Flag, and there's not a damn thing Scientology's been able to do to me other than have PIs follow me around and shit like that. So anyone is safe living in Clearwater, Florida. That's for sure. And if you're looking for a place to buy, you can email me at aaron@dreamrealty.com. I am a licensed realtor, and my broker is also a former Scientologist declared SP. And that's so that Scientology cannot try to fair game or harass the people that I work for.
Awesome. So awesome. So good. Good segue.
Okay, let's see. Maya, aka Alice in Art Supply Hoarderland. Question: did you see the interview with a psychiatrist and a Scientologist? I was surprised he could talk to the psychologist. I've been meaning to do a video about this, but I haven't had the time to break it down properly. Did you know, Sterling, Thad Reeves did a YouTube interview with a psychiatrist?
No. Who's Thad Reeves, by the way?
Thad Reeves is married to Kathy Glore, or Kathy Reeves.
Okay.
Thad Reeves is the ex-Sea Org member from middle management. I can't remember if he was an OSA or not, who runs a blog called ScientologyParent.com.
Mm-hmm.
Thad Reeves is one of the Scientologists who's allowed to troll all of us SPs on Twitter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's like the who's that crazy woman married to Abbas Zawawi? Jojo Zawawi. He's up there with Jojo Zawawi as being one of the few ex-ESA members who's allowed to interact with us big bad SPs.
Wow.
I'm looking in the live chat. How many of you guys in the live chat knew that Thad Reeves, literally like a week or two ago, did an interview on YouTube with a psychiatrist? And it is amazing. So you don't know who Thad is? You never knew him?
No, didn't know. Not at all. Not at all. That's fascinating. Did you watch it?
I did. And he was not nearly as good as I thought he was going to be. He really is just a guy who spouts talking points. This is one thing Scientologists do. They give examples that are so incredibly ridiculous, there's no point giving the example. Like, almost like, do you believe anyone should be able to get mental health care? Well, obviously, if someone's walking up to you and sticks a gun in your face and says, I'm going to blow your head off right now, then sure, that person could be institutionalized. And you're like, the example is so stupid, you haven't conceded anything. The examples they give are such outliers. It's just a way to avoid that. Your real answer to the question is no one should ever get mental health care.
Right.
Anyway, I thought that Thad would bring better skills to the conversation than he did, and he was just a garden variety propaganda mouthpiece. But so anyway, I am going to do some. See, the interview itself is an hour long. Now, you know me. If I do a reaction video to an hour-long interview, it's going to be a 6-hour-long video.
But I would watch it. Yeah. I would.
Okay, let me see here. Anthony Spurgeon. Do Scientologists ever get angsty about it taking so long for the other OT levels to get released, which they, of course, never will? What's your take on this?
I don't know. I didn't spend enough time with Scientologists at the end of my CR career to know that one.
I've always been surprised that internally you did not hear more Scientologists. I'd be hard pressed to give you even one example of a memory that I have of a public Scientologist complaining that the OT levels haven't come out. Now those complaints might have stopped when Miscavage basically made it their fault that the OT levels hadn't come out yet. All the OT8s had to join staff. All the OT8s had to do this and that, become the head of the OT committee, become the EDs of their orgs. And once he made it blamed them for the fact that Scientology wasn't expanding enough to release the OT levels, I think most of them stopped complaining.
Right. Yeah, they didn't. Yes, I would say so.
Okay, Joanna Phillips. If you could change one thing in Scientology to improve the lives of people who are still in Scientology, I guess what would it be? How about you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And it's tough because I guess there's quite a few subjects, which if you just made a little bit of a change, it would make a drastic change for them. But if you could change one thing in Scientology, now, okay, but we're talking about Scientology, not the Sea Org. I need to think about that, Aaron. That's a tough one for me. I mean,
for me, it's just the enforced familial disconnection.
Okay. But yeah.
But what?
What comes to mind right away for me on that, Aaron, is if you reversed the forced familial disconnection, would the relationship then just be this fake good roads, fair weather? I don't really, so we're not disconnected, but when I see you, I'm really just going to be nice and we're not going to really have a relationship. And
I mean, it's not going to turn Scientology from a bad thing to a good thing.
Right.
It's just going to be one of the easiest changes you could make that would improve just the life of a Scientologist, that they wouldn't be forced to never see and speak to certain relatives. Now, I know someone go, well, maybe they wouldn't want to see it on their own. It's hard to know where that line is between something you're doing on your own and something you're doing because you're told you have to. And so you've decided you're willing to. If Scientology no longer had a rule where they literally told you had to disconnect from people or you were going to be kicked out, that's my answer.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. So I was just trying to do the math on that, but yeah, I would agree with you on that. I mean, and also some family members, we're ex seaorg. Some family members that were never in Scientology might not notice the difference as much but if I was talking to my dad, I could tell if he was being real or if he was just trying to pretend to be having some sort of communication. So, it would annoy me still, but yes, I totally get what you're saying.
Totally. Yeah. Let's see. I saw a good one here. Oh, Maya says you should do an interview with the psychiatrist or the Scientologist. I actually will reach out to that guy and see if he wants to do an interview on it. Maybe even a breakdown. Actually, the channel. And there's another question here. Where do we find this interview? I just tried to search for it on YouTube and I couldn't easily and quickly find it. Okay. If I find it and if I can remember, I'll put it in the comments section of this video.
Yeah, I want to see it.
He published the interview with Thad, and then the next day he published an interview with a former Scientologist. Now, what struck me is that it was a former Scientologist I've never heard of, and I didn't watch her interview. It was a former Scientologist woman. I'd never heard of her, and I don't know if she has a channel, but I'll have to check it out. Vanessa says Tad. Now some people call him Tad. I call him Thad. Thaddeus is his name. Tad was in senior HCO, East US. I'm sure that's true. He was also at the FLO. He was at the ILO, after that. And yeah. Let's see. Going through here. Oh, Anthony Spurgeon. Is the Scientology cross meant to trick Christians? What did you always believe about this?
I didn't know anything about it until I left. And then when you read about the history of the cross and what it actually means and why it's used in Christianity, and you then go, and of course, Scientology says that their cross is different because it's got 8 points. You then look at Scientology that has a cross. There is no logical reason for Scientology to have any form of cross. In fact, why didn't they just use the crescent moon for Islam or the Star of David? There is absolutely no reason other than to get instant notoriety or instant acknowledgement of them being a religion. It applies nowhere in Scientology scripture that there would be a cross. It's completely just a farce to look like a religion, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's ridiculous for people to see here, for people to say, oh, it's the 8-pointed cross represents the 8 dynamics. It could be an 8-fingered hand. It could be 8 goats.
It could be 8 pillars.
8 anything would represent the 8 dynamics. An 8-pointed star. No, I mean, in my belief, I do believe he went with the cross to not necessarily trick Christians, but to trick society into thinking this was a bona fide religion in the vein of the world's major religions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was in the middle of the United States, so of course he was going to go with a Christian cross.
Right.
Yeah.
Eclectic Rocker 84. Why wouldn't David Miscavage say he is in touch with LRH on Target 2 and hire someone that can write like LRH and write the OT levels?
Hey guys, with Chat GPT, he just has to, I don't think he needs to hire anyone. And yes, he absolutely could just say he was in touch with him on target too. Would
I have
love to
some
see how
thoughts
that,
on this.
yeah, I would love to see how it plays out, but I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, if Miscavige claimed to be in touch with L. Ron Hubbard on target 2, then other people could start claiming to be in touch with Hubbard on target 2.
It's true. That's true.
And that would open a big old can of worms. And also, it's not, I feel there's a genuine barrier to coming up with something for the new OT levels that would, one, make sense, would fit the description of what L. Ron Hubbard said the upper OT levels would be, which is positive gain, not negative gain. And like Mike Rinder has said, that it actually wouldn't be that hard, that you could just say, okay, now you have to audit all the body thetans all around the world. Audit just other people's body thetans. And that a certain amount of people will buy that. And look, we all know a certain amount of people will buy anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you could do that and explain why we had to wait 40 years for that.
Right.
And also, L. Ron Hubbard said that OT 1 through 7 are negative gain levels, which means you're improving your own state by getting rid of things, and that the upper OT levels are the end of negative gain. It's positive gain. So you can't come out with OT levels that are more negative gain. I mean, right. I'm sure he could, and a certain percentage of people will buy it.
Right.
But I don't know. Do you think he will ever have to come up with OT 9 and 10, or do you think it's just going to be impossible for Scientology to ever reach the expansion benchmarks that Miscavige has put in place for the release of these levels?
I think it's impossible, and here's why. At some point, and even though some Scientologists delusionally think that they have superpowers or some special ability, at some point, if you don't have an instant gratification, if you can't start moving stuff with your mind or influencing the weather or controlling flight schedules so you make your flight all the time, there's going to be a little bit disillusionment with it. I think at some point there's got to be the big, gotcha. You can now fly like Superman. And I don't think they're ever going to be able to reach that goal in Scientology. And I think at some point they're going to be, I spent all this money and I just know a little bit more about another alien culture on a different planet. And obviously they can't deliver that. They can't deliver a superpower. So at some point, I think people are going to be like, oh my God, what the, I just can't even believe it. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah. Okay. So, OT8 is blue and yellow. I'm wondering if OT4 is just blue. So is clear is green, OT3 is yellow, is OT4 just blue, and then OT5 is yellow and red, and then OT7 is yellow and purple, and then OT8 is yellow and blue. Right now, that's my best guess, because I can't remember anything else for OT4 other than perhaps just blue. Come on, TT Greco. Come on. What's OT4? Okay, let's see. Here we go. I really like that target 2 question. Nancy New, have you seen my email about a new Scientology sport? That doesn't ring a bell to me. Does that ring a bell to you?
It does. It does. I think she sent me an email in regards to it. It was a David Miscavige toss. So it was like the javelin throw or the shot put, but with David Miscavige.
That's great. Metalhead says, since Scientologists run away from SPs, shouldn't they combine their running programs with the PTSSP course?
Oh, that is the best. That is so good. They just have to put you and me and someone else at each corner, and they just have to run fast between each one to get away. You have to always have an SP in sight so they could keep running.
Man, those Scientologists would be going faster than a Japanese maglev train.
That's so good. That is so good.
Kelly C. Scientology is such a small world. Loved Amy's chat with her ex-husband, Sterling's uncle, Jim. Would love to see you catch up with him. He seems like such a lovely guy. So he's your uncle?
He's my uncle.
What the hell, dude? You're related to everybody.
Aaron, we're related to each other. I just want to let you know that in case you didn't know. No, I am. He's married to Biddy's sister, Sarah. And so he is officially my uncle James. Yeah.
Wow. So your uncle-in-law.
Uncle-in-law, yeah. Still my uncle, though.
Wow.
No,
wow.
It wouldn't be my uncle-in-law, would he?
He's
Either
married.
way.
Oh, wait, married to whose sister?
married to Biddy's sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I misheard you.
Yeah.
I thought you were thinking.
He was
I thought it was
also my boss for 3 to 4 years while I was at Golden Air Productions, and so he's got some pretty funny stories about how hard it was to manage my personality, because I did not like I did not like cross orders. I was kind of like, I'm doing my job, leave me alone, most of the time. I think I picked that up from my mom a little bit. Like, no, stop, don't mess with me.
Okay, I saw some funny ones here. Sassy Savage question: Aaron and Sterling Beauty, are Scientology centers in every state? I live in Charleston, South Carolina, and had always thought that Scientology were only based in Clearwater in Florida. Half the United States, half of the states have no Scientology in them. About half the states have none. South Carolina is one that, unless something's totally just blanking in my mind, has no Scientology. And missions don't count. Missions do not count. Anybody can open a mission in their living room. It doesn't mean anything. Missions are privately owned and operated. They're not, that's why they can close down. An official Scientology organization is, technically speaking, not allowed to close down. Missions are privately owned and they can close them down. Okay, so the answer is, by the way, do you know Sassy? Does she always call you Sterling Beauty?
No, never. Don't know who she is. Never heard of her, actually. Cool name, but no, I don't know her.
There you go. Okay, Kathy O'Toole. Do you know that there's a second cult based out of Hemet? I watched Dateline about a couple found murdered in Houston, their missing daughter, that led to a cult called Christ Family. Huh.
No.
Had you ever heard of that before?
No, I don't think there's enough room in Hemet for 2 cults.
Wow.
No.
6 Degrees of Sterling, while Hollywood has Kevin Bacon.
That's true. In Scientology, it's very easy, as you pointed out. Yeah, I mean, seriously, how easy is it that a girl that I dated had a picture of Tom Cruise 2 days ago in LA? No, Aaron, I dated another girl who 2 relationships prior to that one dated a person that worked with me at Golden Air Productions.
Wow.
And I met her completely randomly.
When I was living in LA, this was before I was in the Sea Org in LA, I just randomly dated a girl who had just previously dated another guy I had known from Flag who was in the Sea Org. In fact, it was Danny Masterson's friend, Chris Wadhams.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane. No, it's funny how it's a small world, man. It is a small world.
May the Force be with you wants to know why Scientology has outlawed the solo 2D assist. Maybe it's obvious, but I've racked my brain and I wonder how adults who join put up with the prudish rules in the cult. This is a very hard one to answer. Also, you're going to get different perspectives and different stories.
Yeah.
I mean, people, this is going to sound crazy. I did not know this was a prohibited thing. Even in the Sea Org. When I say I went out of my way to avoid ethics interviews and sec check sessions and playing dumb and not having answers to questions, I mean it. Like, I probably never got off an overt of doing this more than once in my entire Scientology career.
Yeah.
And so I never had someone telling me you're not allowed to do that. I didn't know that you couldn't even go into security if you had a history of not being able to not do this.
Yeah, see, so there was no rule that I knew either, Aaron. It was HCO you couldn't go into, or CMO or a CMO unit, Commoner's Messenger organization, if that happened. And so I was out of CMO, so I was like, okay, hey, here we go.
To think now, I have to ask, and I don't know who would know the answer to this question. Was this L. Ron Hubbard or was this David Miscavige, who was like, if you're wanking it, you can't be in this Commodore's Messengers org. You can't work for me in RTC if you like the solo 2D assist. I don't even know where this came from.
Neither do I. And I would question that too, because it's pretty specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
I feel like this is David Miscavige's obsession with people's sex lives.
I would agree with you on that.
Which I believe is a function of the fact that you had a 60-year-old man who slept with one person his entire life and was jealous that other people were getting some action on the side. Yeah. That's my opinion. I've not heard a better one.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's obsessed.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely. I really don't know what it is. I don't know why. It's a strange thing. Someone said, was that silent too? It's a strange thing. I don't know. I don't get his obsession with it. Aaron said, but just I have to give whoever coined the phrase, and I think it was you, I don't know, solo 2D assist is the best. I mean, that needs to be added to the Scientology dictionary.
So
like
I
someone should
think
write
I
it in.
got it. I think I got it from a public in the Flag Pro TR's course room who was doing bull bait on someone and was talking about how he was being very crude about how solo auditors FN, and he was
Yeah.
talking about sticking that can certain places where it doesn't belong. And I think I heard him say the word solo 2D assist. So this would have been
Oh
back in the
my-
90s.
Okay, that's brilliant. I hope they find that guy and he's in trouble for it, but that's brilliant.
Oh my God, the interview with Thad is gone. The interview with Thad
Oh.
Reeves and the psychiatrist is gone. I should have downloaded it 2 weeks ago when I saw it. Wow. Do you know what? I should do an interview with that psychiatrist and get the inside, the behind the scenes skinny
Ooh,
on one,
that's brilliant.
how he ever came to do the interview with Thad. And I'd like to know the parts of his interview with Thad that the parts of whether he knew that Thad was just BSing or whether he saw the sort of the logical fallacies in Thad's responses.
Right.
That would be fun. Okay,
That would
let's
be
see.
really good. Yeah.
TT Greco, there is no written rule about the solo 2D assist. I have to agree with this. I've never seen a written rule. I feel like it's one of these things that had to come down on technical lines because CSs started making a big deal about this in tailor-made sec check questions. You know, ethics officers were trained to make a big deal about this in their metered ethics interviews. That comes down through these little training evolutions that are run by RTC and David Miscavage. You know, we should ask Serge about this sometime.
Yeah.
Because Serge was right there in the thick of it when Miscavige really started to come down on stuff like this.
Okay. Again, he was an auditor, right?
Serge was yes, he was an auditor, yes. Okay, Nemo, when is the SPTV calendar coming out?
If it does, I call the month of September. Oh wait, God. No, we'd have to share it. Sorry.
Is your birthday's also in September, right?
Yeah,
we're just a few days apart, right? I'm the 29th. What are you?
7th.
Oh, the 7th.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Oh boy. Wow, that was actually the last one that I had starred.
Yeah, I mean, we rocked it. There's just a lot of great comments and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean, that was fun, dude. I enjoyed that thoroughly.
Not a lot of great comments. Shots fired at the chat.
No, there were. Sorry, did I say that wrong? There were a lot of great comments, not tons of questions. Yeah. Sorry. Wait a second. Whoa.
I probably
there was, and you know, even while we were doing this, I had someone from Instagram that reached out to me that lives in London, and she was watching this live and enjoyed it thoroughly, and I thought that was pretty cool. I love that we're reaching everybody. Quick question though, Aaron, I have to ask you. Yeah. Have you seen Urban Cowboy?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, neither have I. I'm trying to figure out why I would have never watched that movie.
Probably because the idea of John Travolta walking around in a cowboy outfit just seems super gay. No offense to anybody, but I'm like, no, that's not doing it for me. What? Urban cowboy? What?
Yeah. And maybe that's what it was. And I think also as a kid, I didn't understand what the word urban meant either. I'm like, what?
I mean,
why not? And I watched Clint Eastwood movies when I was a kid, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all those sort of things. But I've been given homework by Mitch, so I do have to watch it.
What is it that people keep saying about waiting on my stream? Is there just a bunch of stupid trolls in the chat or something?
You know, so one person was in there, kept going, I'm not hearing this, I'm not hearing that. Sterling, your hat's crooked. And I was like, no, I mean, we're good here. I even pulled it up on my YouTube when we were in the middle just to check something. And
yeah. All right. I guess there we go.
Maybe they're done with the event and now they're putting their attention towards us again. You know, who knows?
What was the deal with Urban Cowboy? People keep mentioning your chat with Mitch and Urban Cowboy.
So one of the things Mitch and I are doing besides talking about Scientology stuff we're talking about movies. And so we were comparing the social relevance of Tom Cruise and John Travolta last night. And then we got into movies that John Travolta did that were classics that will live through the ages, that will always be classics. And we talked about movies that weren't.
Did he say Urban Cowboy was like
he said that was one of his classics. Yeah.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
I've never seen it and never wanted to. But you know what?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's just some movies that the title alone puts me off.
Yeah.
Like A River Runs Through It. I don't care what that movie's about. I'm not seeing that movie. I'm sure it's great. I'm not sitting down to see a movie called A River Runs Through It.
On the other hand, all Steven Seagal's movies have great names and you want to watch them.
Well, Steven Seagal is a cultural icon. So
thank you. You know what's so funny is I've mentioned it now 3 or 4 times, and I think about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, there was a big documentary on Steven Seagal, which I didn't watch because I'm not interested in him as a person, but apparently he was a complete prick and rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I have to keep apologizing for it. I'm not talking about Steven Seagal as a person. I'm talking about his badass movies that I loved watching in the 80s.
And especially when he did with Ann Archer, right? Or am I thinking of Richard Gere? Am I thinking of Richard Gere?
He did one with Richard Gere? No.
No. I meant Richard Gere did one with Ann Archer. So I absolutely love Steven Seagal's movies, but he is a terrible person.
I've heard.
He is. If you ever watch any interviews with Saturday Night Live, former cast members of who is hands down the worst Saturday Night Live host of all time, it's pretty unanimous that it's Steven Seagal.
And I didn't even know he was on Saturday Night Live. I got to see that.
Oh my God. And he's also, he's almost like his own little cult leader. Like he's a terrible person.
Yeah. I've also heard that about Jean-Claude Van Damme as well. So, you know, people, by the way, are commenting in here that like River Runs Through It is great, guys. I have my own movie I never watched, Driving Miss Daisy. There was nothing about that title that made me go, I need to see that movie.
Yes, and I have to be clear. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I'm saying I will never watch it because it's called A River Runs Through It. Okay. I'm not saying it has to make sense.
Yeah. It's not a catchy title.
By the way, did you know I am as flexible as Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yeah, no. Are you?
Actually, yeah.
No. I can't believe that. I'm the most inflexible person in the world. I can't even touch my toe.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme of Clearwater. Or they call me Aaron Van Damme.
Aaron Van Damme? Okay.
On the streets, that's what they call me.
On the streets.
Hold on, going back a little bit. Anand says, L. Ron Hubbard said something about the Solo 2D assist pulling in pictures.
I do remember something about that.
David Miscavige probably made his own rules based on that.
I do remember reading about that in the reference to being in the CMO.
Yeah. And Blackmail says 2D is not about sex. It's about control. What?
Right.
I mean, the 2D is about sex, but like food, sleeping time. I actually don't understand this comment. Maybe the 2D rules are not about.
Oh, I mean, know.
The 2D is quite literally about sex and family.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Sorry, Blackmail. I think I'm just misunderstanding your super chat. Gary Gunnels.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
It's always been funny that I've always found it strange that 2D is sex and family, because when I was in there and you couldn't have kids, I was like, okay, so are you not just cutting off an entire half of one of our dynamics? And then, because remember, LRH does specifically say if you're not doing well on all parts of the dynamics and all parts of that single dynamic, then you're going to fail. So I always thought, well, doesn't that hurt everyone naturally if you can't have kids? Because that is one whole part of a dynamic. Like, it never made sense to me. That's how I thought about that. Just saying. Saying.
Indeed. Jill Harrison, Shawshank Redemption doesn't sound great, but best movie ever. Hey, any movie title that has the word shank in the title is good in my book.
And Redemption. If you had a movie called Redemption, I would watch it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, if it was called A River Runs Through Redemption, I'd be watching the movie as already.
Yeah. My mom watches a TV show called The Dorfus in Greece, or the Dorfels in Greece, and I tease her about it all the time. She's like, you should watch it. I said, it's called The Dorfus in Greece. what is that? I don't want to watch it. It's zero interest in it just because the name Dorfu makes no sense whatsoever. So yeah, no, names are important.
Do you remember when Steven Seagal took credit for teaching Anderson Silva the front kick?
No. I stopped. Movies were in the 80s. I didn't track with him after that. Not at all. I can plead innocence or what's the word? I can plead when you don't know about anything.
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Thank you. Ignorance.
Gary Gunnell's suggestion, if you haven't done so, maybe do an episode on Charles Manson and his connection to Scientology. Yeah.
That's a touchy subject, but I think it's brief too. It's really, he just mentioned it.
I know. I don't feel the same way about that as others do. Beata Scissors. Yes, an SPTV Boys 2024 charity calendar. Why is it just got to be boys?
Yeah.
But I guess they're talking about like the fireman calendars and stuff, you know?
Right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Idea, no.
So this is funny. Okay. So Aaron Van Dam.
Yeah.
Aaron can do the splits. Now it's not a split. It's a straddle. Okay.
But to be clear, I now want to know, you're not joking?
I'm almost as flexible as Van Dam. Yes.
Because I seriously, Aaron, for a person that plays a lot of sports, I am the most inflexible person in the world. I can't even touch my toes.
Oh, so that's not healthy. Tight hamstrings will pull out your back.
I know,
will pull out your lower back.
I've been blessed with the back. I try to do a little more stretching, but I literally am so inflexible. Now, I've heard that is a little bit of an advantage on the quick twitch muscles and the sprinting speed. But that being said, yeah, I mean, pulling a hamstring or running around a base is one of the most, you feel like you were shot by a sniper. It's brutal. Yeah. Yeah, do it. Yes. I'll do a handstand. I'll do a handstand, Aaron, if you do the splits on a chair.
It's not the splits. It's a straddle.
It's the straddle. Okay. You know, my brother Justin was a gymnast, though. He can do. Oh yeah. He can walk.
When did he do that?
Well, it was when growing up, you know, Ronnie Miscavage Jr. was he was a big fan of gymnastics. So he made Justin do classes. When we would have dances at Golden Air Productions way back when we actually used to have some time off, Justin would get on the dance floor and do backflips. Then
you guys would have dances?
Yes. I may be one of the few people that's ever seen Dave Miscavige dance. And he absolutely looks like a white guy when he dances. No, anyone that was at the property probably saw it at that time, but it was a dance line. So he came down it. But okay, so no, Justin would do backflips on the dance floor and just everyone would go nuts. He was so good at it. But when Justin blew in 1999 or 2000, he did a little bit of competitive springboard diving as well, because he was so good at flips and backflips and stuff like that. So he would go out there apparently in a tiny little Speedo. And he told me stories that he would actually show up to parties wearing a Speedo too. But anyways, that's another. I actually heard from a girl that knew him. Said, "Was that your brother, the dude in the Speedo?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess so. Sorry about that."
Oh my!
But no, Justin's actually, you know, he's older now, but he was a fantastic. He was really good at flips, backflips, handsprings, all that kind of stuff. I couldn't do that to save my life. Yeah.
Wow.
No, I'm a baseball tennis guy.
Redemption Runs Through a River, starring Steven Seagal, is a movie I would watch all day long.
Starring
Blackmail says, "I'm sorry, I meant that it doesn't matter if the action is solo or with someone, is just made to control the member's life." Got to be honest, I'm still not following. Are you?
I'm getting the gist of it, but I think he's saying that it's a cult tactic to put a rule or restrictions on the subject, no matter if it's solo or the other way around. Just like the heavy petting thing is insane, right? I mean,
I got it. Where's
the line on that? I mean, you talked about that. Just brushing up against a girl by accident would trigger a guilt complex, right?
Yes. I pulled this up before. I'm not sure. Any link to WWASP, Mormon Run, Troubled Teen Industry. I was in from 12 to 19. Parents sign rights over. Scientology has no link to any Mormon Run anything. That's for show. Let me see. Mark, I know Mark's in the chat and people are responding to what he's saying, but I don't see what he's saying. I just imagined Aaron dressed as a gymnast saluting the judges before the floor event.
That would be so
I'm
good.
not. I don't do gymnastics. I'm not the gymnast. That's the other Sterling.
That's the other Sterling, the Yeti. That would be so good.
I'm trying to see what people are responding to that Mark said, but I can't. I'm scrolling up. I don't see what Mark said.
We were talking about solo 2D assist, and then someone mentioned Tampa Brad, and then Mark. Oh, there he is. I got it. Found it.
Don't make me pull out my Depeche Mode dance moves. Guys, one of the funnest things we ever did was on one of these cruises. So it was my family, the Rinder family, the Headley family, the Turner family. On one of the cruises, they had silent disco night. Now, if you don't know what this is, it is so much cooler than it even sounds. Everyone's wearing headphones. If you walk into this room, it looks like a bunch of idiots dancing to nothing because there's no music that you can hear. But when you wear headphones, it sounds like everyone's listening to what you're listening to. Okay. And so, first of all, we'd already had a lot to drink and we were having so much fun. Okay. So the way it works, it's a game, it's a competition. There's two different channels. There's like the red channel and the green channel, and your headphones have a light. They can either turn red or green or whatever, right? And the goal is to get people to win. You want to get people to change over to your channel. So you've got to be like, I guess you've got to, be the fun people that are having the most fun, and you get people to come over to your channel, and then eventually whoever has the most people on your channel wins. Me and Mark were animals. Like, it was hilarious.
I wish I could see it.
It's hard to even explain how much fun it was, especially if you're already like tipsy. Hold on.
Yeah.
I saw something.
It's got to be so. I'm a terrible dancer, but I would do that.
Aaron can tell you that when I dance, girls be getting out their phones. It was absolutely incredible.
Oh God, that would be so good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could do that sometime.
Yeah. They have these. I've never seen. The only time I've ever encountered this was on a cruise ship. If there was like actually some dance club, like let's say in Tampa, where it was a silent disco thing, it would be so popular.
Oh my God.
And yet I've never seen it anywhere in like a brick and mortar place.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. That would be something fun. That'd be something fun. Oh, that's crazy. I wish someone had gotten video of that. Yeah.
Well, there's some video that exists.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure Mark actually has some video.
I would say so.
Please don't publish it, Mark. Please don't publish it. All right.
I cannot. That's one thing about me, guys. I can't dance. I can't sing. I can't dance. I can play tennis. I can surf a little bit. I can play softball, but I cannot dance.
Something has come over me. I am absolutely dying to learn how to surf. To learn how to surf. When I have watched footage of Kelly Slater's surf park or whatever,
surf ranch.
Oh my! And I can't learn to surf here in the Gulf. There's no waves, and I'm not going to be some guy out there with like a 12-foot board trying to surf on 18-inch waves. I'm dying to learn how to do it. I feel like it's just unlimited fun. Do you actually go out often?
I haven't recently. I have been to that surf ranch 5 or 6 times. And that's where I learned how to surf. It comes in waves. Funny. It comes in waves, really, that when I go out. So it depends on the weather and what I'm doing or what injury I'm dealing with at the current time. But I know how blessed I was to learn how to surf at the surf ranch on a perfect wave. And yes, there is a certain feeling that goes with it. That's amazing. But that being said, if you didn't grow up doing water sports like that, it does take a little bit for your legs and your brain to comprehend the balance part of it. Because I can ride a longboard, skateboard like a pro. But once I got on a surfboard, it was like I was a monkey, fucking a football essentially. So I was pretty bad. I mean, it was bad. Like my first time up, I got rocked so bad. I was tumbled for about like 20 seconds under a wave. But yeah, once you get it, it's awesome. Now the water out there is way better. So way warmer, at least. Here you have to wear a wetsuit. Otherwise,
I'll tell you out here, I got one of those big stand-up paddle boards, those foam core stand-up paddle boards at Costco, of course.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing how long it took me just to be able to stand up on that thing without falling over. Like just the stability. Like you said, if you don't already know how to do it, it's hard to fathom how difficult just standing up on relatively calm water can be.
Yep.
But once I did get the hang of that, then it becomes second nature. It's like riding a bike. It's like I can't imagine this ever having been difficult, but it was difficult for quite a long time.
Well, and once you got that part of it down, and it's also, there's just little tricks to it. I mean, if you know the little techniques, it becomes easier and easier. But then it comes into reading the waves, getting in the right position, getting up at the right time. How long does the face stay open? So where I surf in some places here, the face doesn't stay open that long. So it's trickier. There are better places I could go, but you know, I got to balance what I do. I would play beach volleyball over surf. But again, I'm blessed with the ability every once in a while to go to the surf ranch. So I get all the surf in my system out in one solid day. And just so you know, I've asked several surfers, one day at the surf ranch, you'll catch more waves than you could catch in 4 to 5 months of actually surfing.
Wow.
Because it's every wave. It's perfect and longer, or at least you'd be up on your board longer than you would.
Yeah.
Over that time. So,
yeah. The YouTube algorithm has been serving me up nonstop videos of that big dude at the surf ranch helping people learn how to surf for the first time.
Oh, I know him. Raymana.
The big belly guy.
Yep, Raymana. That dude is the nicest guy in the world. I bump into him in Malibu all the time. He's so good, man. He is so good. The way he talks, he's like, "Get up, brother. Get up, brother. You got this, brother. Stay low. Stay low." He's got such a Hawaiian? Funny. No, he's Tahitian. Oh, I froze.
Oh, you just froze?
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, we've been going for 2 hours. Let's how about we call it a day? Sterling froze on us. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us this afternoon. Thank you as always. Let me tell everyone to go subscribe to your channel real quick. Hold on.
Thank you.
If you're not subscribed to Sterling yet, jump over there on YouTube, hit that subscribe button on his channel, Sterling Tompkins. Thank you as always to everyone who watches until the very end, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click